The last Zephyrian ship drifted through empty space like a wounded bird. Commander Lyra stood on the bridge, watching the stars through the cracked viewing window. Her people had been traveling for 3 months now, running from a galaxy that no longer wanted them. Behind her, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. Their blue skin looked pale under the dim emergency lights. The ship's power systems were failing, just like everything else in their small fleet. Food was running low, medicine was almost gone, and still no world would take them in. "Commander," said Navigator Kale, his voice tired, "we are picking up signals ahead. Unknown origin." Lyra turned toward him. "What kind of signals?" "Radio waves. Simple transmission patterns. The source appears to be a small yellow star with several planets. Any signs of intelligence?" Kyle checked his instruments again. "Yes, Commander. Definitely intelligent, but the technology seems basic. Very basic compared to galactic standards." Lyra felt a spark of hope in her chest. Maybe, just maybe, these beings would not know about the accident. Maybe they would not know that the Zephyrians were exiles, cast out by the Galactic Council for destroying 3 star systems. The accident had happened so fast. Dr. Vex had been working on a new quantum drive system that would allow faster travel between galaxies. The math looked perfect. The tests on small objects worked well, but when they tried it on a larger scale, something went wrong. Terribly wrong. The quantum field collapsed, creating a chain reaction that tore through space itself. 3 populated star systems vanished in seconds, billions of lives lost. The Zephyrians tried to help with rescue efforts, but it was too late. The damage was done. The Galactic Council held trials that lasted for months. The Zephyrians explained over and over that it was an accident. They showed all their research data. They offered to pay compensation for generations. They promised to stop all quantum experiments forever. None of it mattered. "The Zephyrian people are a danger to galactic peace," declared High Judge Thoric of the Korthak Empire. "They have proven they cannot be trusted with advanced technology. They will be exiled from all civilized space." Lyra remembered the vote. 47 galactic civilizations voted for exile. Only 3 voted against it. 2 abstained. The Zephyrians had friends once, but fear made those friends turn away. The exile order was simple and cruel. All Zephyrians must leave civilized space within 30 days. No galactic world could offer them shelter. No space station could refuel their ships. No trader could sell them supplies. Anyone who helped them would face the same punishment. Lyra's people gathered their families and possessions as quickly as they could. They had been a proud civilization once, known throughout the galaxy for their peaceful nature and their skill with technology. Now they were refugees, unwanted and alone. "Commander," Kale called again, "I am getting more detailed scans of the system ahead. It has 1 inhabited planet. The beings there call themselves humans. Have you heard of them before?" "No, Commander. They do not appear in any galactic databases. They seem to be isolated with no knowledge of the greater galactic community." Lyra made her decision. "Set course for their system. Slow approach. We do not want to frighten them." The Zephyrian fleet moved toward the unknown star system. There were only 12 ships left now, carrying the last survivors of their race. Once they had commanded hundreds of worlds. Now they could not even find one place to rest. As they came closer, the ship's sensors gathered more information about this strange system. The 3rd planet from the star showed signs of a young civilization. Radio signals, satellite networks, and nuclear technology. The beings there were still learning to leave their world, but they were trying. "Commander," reported Science Officer Dana, "the planet shows clear signs of war in its recent past. Nuclear weapons have been used. But the beings there seem to have learned from their mistakes. They are working together now more than before." "Interesting," Lyra said. "Most species went through a period of global conflict before they learned to cooperate. These humans seem to be moving past that phase." The fleet stopped at the edge of the system, just beyond the orbit of the outermost planet. Lyra did not want to invade their space without permission. Her people had caused enough harm already. "Open a communication channel," she ordered. "Broadcast on all frequencies they are using." The communication officer nodded and began transmitting. They sent mathematics first, then simple pictures, then more complex ideas. It was the standard first contact protocol used throughout the galaxy. Hours passed with no response. Then, suddenly, the planet came alive with activity. Satellites turned toward them. Radio signals increased dramatically. And then finally an answer came back. The message was simple but clear. The humans were excited and scared at the same time. They wanted to know who the Zephyrians were and what they wanted. Most importantly, they asked if the Zephyrians came in peace. "Send our response," Lyra ordered. "Tell them we are peaceful refugees looking for help. Tell them we mean no harm." The conversation continued for days. The humans asked many questions. Where did the Zephyrians come from? Why were they traveling? Did they need help? The last question surprised Lyra. These beings had never seen aliens before, yet they were asking if the aliens needed help. Finally, the humans sent a more complex message. They wanted to meet face to face. They were sending a ship to a location, between their worlds. It would be a peaceful meeting with no weapons. Lyra looked around her bridge at her tired crew. Behind them, in the other ships, were the families and children who depended on her decisions. They had been rejected by every advanced civilization in the galaxy. Now their fate rested with these unknown humans. "Prepare a shuttle," she told her crew. "Small team only. We will meet them." The shuttle bay was busy as Lyra's team prepared for the meeting. Dr. Aaron, their best scientist and diplomat, would come with them. So would Navigator Kale and 2 security officers. They brought gifts of Zephyrian art and examples of their technology, along with complete records of who they were and why they had become exiles. As the shuttle left the ship, Lyra looked back at her fleet. The ships looked so small against the vast darkness of space. Inside those ships were the last of her people, waiting to see if these humans would be different from everyone else. The human ship was strange to look at. It was built with simple materials and basic technology, but it was well made. Someone had put care and thought into its design. The humans might not have advanced science, but they were not primitive. The docking was awkward at first. The two species used different methods for connecting their ships, but with patience and effort, they managed to create a safe meeting space. When the airlock opened, Lyra saw her first human. Captain Jake Morrison was shorter than most Zephyrians, with brown hair and kind eyes. He moved forward without fear, extending his hand in what she learned was a human gesture of friendship. "Welcome to our system," he said through the translation device. "I am Jake Morrison. We want to help if we can." Those words hit Lyra like a wave of emotion. For months, her people had heard only rejection and hatred. Now these beings who had never seen aliens before were offering help to strangers. "I am Commander Lyra," she replied, taking his hand. "We are grateful for your kindness. We have much to tell you about why we are here." The meeting that followed would change everything, not just for the Zephyrians, but for humanity as well. Because, while the universe had turned its back on the exiled people, the humans were about to open their arms and welcome them home. Captain Jake Morrison had never imagined this moment would come. Standing in the meeting room aboard the space station Unity, he looked across the table at beings from another world. The Zephyrians sat quietly, their blue skin pale with exhaustion, their large eyes filled with hope and fear. Dr. Lisa Grant leaned forward in her chair, her tablet ready to record everything. As Earth's leading expert on alien life, she had dreamed of this day for years. But she had never expected the first aliens humanity met would be refugees running from their own galaxy. Commander Lyra began her story slowly, her translator device turning her musical language into English words. She told them about the accident that destroyed 3 star systems. She explained how her people had tried to help, tried to make things right, but how the galaxy turned against them instead. "We did not mean for it to happen," Lyra said, her voice quiet with pain. Dr. Vex was trying to create something good, a way to travel between galaxies, to explore new places, to learn new things, but the math was wrong. Or maybe the universe works differently than we thought. The quantum field collapsed and everything just ended. Jake felt his chest tighten as he listened. He had seen the recordings Lyra showed them. Whole star systems, vanishing in seconds. Billions of people gone. The scale of the disaster was beyond anything humans had ever experienced. "How many of your people survived?" asked Dr. Grant. "We had a population of 8 billion across 47 worlds." Lyra replied, "Now we have 3 million, all in these 12 ships. Everyone else was in the affected systems or died in the chaos that followed." The silence in the room was heavy. Jake looked at his team. General Sam Brooks sat with his arms crossed, his face showing the careful expression he wore when thinking about military threats. Colonel Amy Foster took notes on her tablet, already thinking about logistics. Dr. Lisa Grant looked like she might cry. "The galaxy refused to help you?" Jake asked. "Worse," said Dr. Aaron, the Zephyrian scientist. "They declared us a threat. The Galactic Council voted to exile us from all civilized space. No world can give us shelter. No station can refuel our ships. No trader can sell us food or medicine. Anyone who helps us becomes an exile too." "That's not right," Jake said before. He could stop himself. "You made a mistake, but it was an accident. People should help you, not punish you." Commander Lyra looked surprised. "You think so? Most of the galaxy believes we are too dangerous to exist near civilized worlds." "Most of the galaxy sounds like they forgot what it means to be civilized," Jake replied. General Brooks cleared his throat. "Captain Morrison, we need to think carefully about this situation. We know nothing about galactic politics. If we help these people, we might make enemies of powerful civilizations." "With respect, General," Jake said, "I've seen their ships. I've seen their children. These people are dying out there. We can't just turn them away." Dr. Grant spoke up. "The medical data they've shared shows severe malnutrition in their population. Their children are getting sick from lack of proper food. Some of their elderly are dying from treatable conditions because they don't have the right medicines. We have been traveling for 4 months now," Lyra explained. "Our ships were damaged when we left. We cannot repair them properly without resources we cannot buy. Our hydroponic systems are failing. Our medical supplies are nearly gone." Navigator Hale, who had been quiet until now, looked directly at Jake. "We know you have no reason to trust us. We know our presence here puts you in danger. If the galaxy learns you helped us, they might turn against you too. We would not ask, but we have nowhere else to go. Our children are dying." Jake felt something twist in his stomach. These beings had traveled across space looking for help, and every door had been slammed in their faces. Now they were asking humans, people they had never met before, to risk everything to help them. "What do you need?" Jake asked. General Brooks started to object, but Jake held up his hand. "What do you need right now today to keep your people alive?" "Food," Lyra said immediately. "Medicine for the sick ones. Parts to repair our life support systems. But Captain, you should know that helping us means defying the Galactic Council. They have weapons that could destroy your entire world in minutes." "Let me worry about that," Jake said. "Dr. Grant, can we help with their medical problems?" "I think so," Dr. Grant replied, looking through her notes. "Their biology is different from ours, but not so different that our medicines won't work. We can adapt our food production to meet their nutritional needs. It will take some work, but it's possible." "Colonel Foster, what about repairs?" "From what I've seen of their ships, our manufacturing systems can produce most of what they need," Foster replied. "The materials are common enough. The designs are more advanced than ours, but not impossibly so." General Brooks looked uncomfortable. "Captain, you're talking about committing Earth to a course of action that could lead to war with civilizations we know nothing about." "Maybe," Jake agreed. "But General, look at them. Really look at them. These are not invaders or threats. These are families with children who need help. When did humans ever turn away from people in need?" The room fell quiet again. Jake could see the conflict in everyone's faces. This was not what anyone had expected when they planned for first contact with aliens. They had prepared for invasions or peaceful exchanges with powerful civilizations. They had never thought about refugees. "There is something else you should know," Dr. Aaron said quietly. "If you help us, we can share our technology with you. Not weapons or anything dangerous, but clean energy, medical advances, space travel, improvements, things that could help your people. We're not asking for payment, Jake said quickly. It would not be payment, Lyra replied. It would be partnership. Two peoples working together, sharing knowledge, helping each other grow. That is how civilization should work. Dr. Grant leaned forward. Their quantum technology could revolutionize our energy production. Their medical knowledge could eliminate most diseases. Their space drives could let us explore the galaxy in ships that don't take years to reach other stars. And their enemies become our enemies, General Brooks reminded them. Their enemies are people who punish refugees instead of helping them, Jake replied. I'm not sure those are the kind of people we want as friends anyway. Commander Lyra stood up slowly. Captain Morrison, Dr. Grant, General Brooks, Colonel Foster. We did not come here expecting kindness. We came here because we had no other choice. You have given us something we have not seen in months, hope. But we will not force this decision on you. Take time to think, discuss it with your leaders, we will wait. How long can you wait, Jake asked. Our children can survive perhaps 2 more weeks without proper food, Lyra said quietly. After that, she did not need to finish the sentence. Jake looked around the room one more time, seeing the faces of his team, thinking about the blue-skinned, children dying in ships outside their solar system. General, I know this is not my decision to make alone, Jake said. But I'm recommending to Earth Command that we offer immediate humanitarian aid to the Zephyrian refugees. And I'm recommending that we offer them sanctuary in our solar system, for as long as they need it. General Brooks was quiet for a long moment, then he nodded slowly. I'll support your recommendation, Captain. God help us, but I'll support it. Dr. Grant smiled for the first time since the meeting began. So will I. Colonel Foster looked up from her tablet. I'm already working on supply lists and logistics plans. Commander Lyra sat back down, and Jake could see tears forming in her large eyes. You would do this? For people you just met? Even knowing the risks? That's what neighbors do, Jake replied. They help each other. Welcome to the neighborhood. The news reached the Galactic Council faster than anyone expected. Ambassador Krex of the Korthak Empire stood before the massive holographic display in the council chambers, his scaled face twisted with anger. The image showed human ships docking, with Zephyrian vessels, transferring supplies and medical aid. These primitive beings dare to defy our exile order, Krex declared to the assembled representatives. The humans of Earth have given shelter to the criminals we cast out. This cannot be allowed. High Counselor Vorth of the Altarian Federation nodded in agreement. The humans are new to galactic affairs. Perhaps they simply do not understand the severity of the Zephyrian threat. Then we will educate them, Krex replied, his voice cold. Send a message to Earth. Tell them to surrender the Zephyrians immediately or face the consequences. Back on Earth, President Maria Santos read the galactic message in her office, surrounded by her top advisors. The translation was clear and threatening. Earth had 72 hours to hand over all Zephyrian refugees or be declared a rogue world by the Galactic Council. What does being declared a rogue world mean exactly? She asked General Tony Clark, who had replaced General Brooks as head of Earth's defense planning. According to the information the Zephyrians provided, it means complete isolation, Clark replied. No trade, no communication, no contact with any galactic civilization, and if we continue to resist military action. Dr. Kevin Park, Earth's new head of alien technology research, looked up from his tablet. Madam President, the Zephyrians have been sharing their knowledge with us for the past 6 months. Their fusion technology alone has revolutionized our energy production. Their medical advances have eliminated cancer and heart disease. We're learning things that would have taken us centuries to discover on our own. And their quantum manufacturing systems are letting us build things we never dreamed possible, added Colonel Amy Foster. Our new ships are faster and stronger than anything we had before. President Santos walked to her window, looking out at the construction sites that had sprung up around Washington, D.C. In just 6 months, human technology had advanced by decades. Clean energy powered every city. New medicines healed diseases that had plagued humanity for millennia. Ships that could cross the solar system in days instead of months. But it was not just the technology that mattered. The Zephyrians had become part of human society. Their children played with human children in schools on Luna Colony. Their scientists worked alongside human researchers in laboratories across the system. Their artists created beautiful works that combined human and Zephyrian cultures. The Zephyrians are not just refugees anymore, Santos said finally. They are our friends, our partners, our neighbors. I will not hand them over to be punished for an accident. A communication request came in from the lunar base. Commander Lyra appeared on the screen, her blue face showing concern. President Santos, we have received the council message as well. We do not want humanity to suffer because of us. If you wish us to leave. Absolutely not, Santos replied, firmly. You are under Earth's protection now. That means something. But Madam President, Lyra said, you do not understand the power of the Galactic Council. The Korthak Empire alone has 10,000 warships. Each one could destroy a city, from orbit. They have weapons that can crack planets. You cannot fight them with conventional technology. Dr. Park stepped forward. Maybe we cannot fight them with conventional technology. But we are not using conventional technology anymore, are we? Over the following weeks, the partnership between humans and Zephyrians deepened. Dr. Elena Rivers worked with Zephyrian physicist Zenka to develop new defensive systems. They created quantum barriers that could stop energy weapons and particle shields that could deflect physical attacks. Captain Roy Bennett led test flights of the new human ships, built with Zephyrian quantum drives and human engineering improvements. The vessels were smaller than galactic warships but faster and more maneuverable. They could appear suddenly, strike hard, and vanish before enemy weapons could target them. The Zephyrians were amazed by human adaptability. Navigator Kale worked with human pilots and found that they learned new flying techniques in days instead of the months it took most species. Dr. Aaron collaborated with human doctors and discovered that humans could understand complex medical concepts with surprising speed. Your people learn so quickly, Lyra told Jake Morrison during one of their regular meetings. Most species take decades to master new technologies. Humans seem to absorb knowledge like sponges absorbing water. We have had to adapt quickly throughout our history, Jake replied. Those who could not learn fast did not survive. Maybe that trait will help us now. The first test came sooner than expected. A single Korthak scout ship entered Earth's solar system, broadcasting demands for immediate Zephyrian surrender. Captain Bennett intercepted it with a squadron of the new human fighters. The Korthak captain, expecting easy victory over primitive beings, found himself facing ships that could match his vessel's speed and weapons. The human fighters moved in, patterns he had never seen, coordinating attacks with precision that confused his targeting systems. Impossible, the Korthak captain transmitted. These are supposed to be primitive beings with basic technology. Maybe you need to update your information, Bennett replied, disabling the scout ship's weapons with a precisely targeted quantum pulse. This is Earth space. You are not welcome here. The scout ship limped back to Council space, carrying news that shook the galactic government. The humans were not the helpless primitives they had expected. They had advanced technology and the skill to use it. Ambassador Krex called an emergency council session. The humans have been corrupted by Zephyrian technology. They are becoming a threat themselves. We must act before they grow stronger. But other council members were not so sure. Councillor Mesh of the Deltarian Union raised concerns. The humans defeated a Korthak scout ship without destroying it. They could have killed the crew but chose to disable and release them instead. This shows mercy, not aggression. Mercy is weakness, Krex declared. The humans harbored dangerous criminals and now possess dangerous technology. They must be stopped. The vote was closer than expected. 28 civilizations supported military action against Earth. 15 opposed it. 4 abstained. The Council authorized a full blockade of human space in preparation for invasion if the blockade failed. News of the blockade reached Earth within days. Galactic patrol ships took positions around all major hyperspace routes leading to human space. No ships could enter or leave without Council permission. They are trying to cut us off from the galaxy, General Clark explained to the emergency cabinet meeting. Force us to surrender through isolation. Will it work? President Santos asked. Dr. Park smiled. Not anymore. The Zephyrian manufacturing systems have made us completely self-sufficient. We can produce everything we need right here in our own solar system. Food, medicine, materials, energy. The blockade cannot hurt us. But the isolation had another effect. Word began to spread through the galaxy about the humans who had welcomed refugees when no one else would. About the species that shared their technology freely and defended the helpless against overwhelming odds. On the vegan colonies, workers talked about the human example during their break periods. On Centauri stations, traders discussed the strange, new species that valued compassion over profit. On worlds across the galaxy, people began to ask questions about the Galactic Council's treatment of the Zephyrians. A message arrived at Earth from an unexpected source. The free colonies of the Outer Rim, a group of independent worlds that had never joined the Galactic Council, sent greetings to humanity and offered to establish trade relationships despite the blockade. More messages followed. The Democratic Republic of New Altair expressed interest in human medical technology. The Peaceful Alliance of Vega Prime offered to share agricultural techniques. Dozens of smaller civilizations reached out, curious about the species that dared to defy the Council. The blockade is backfiring, Commander Lyra observed during a strategy meeting. Instead of isolating you, it is making you famous. People across the galaxy are talking about human courage and Zephyrian human cooperation. Jake Morrison looked at the star charts showing friendly civilizations throughout the galaxy. Maybe it is time we talked back to them. Maybe it is time to build some new friendships. The galaxy had tried to isolate Earth, but humanity was reaching out instead. The Council had wanted to teach a lesson about obedience, but they were learning a lesson about the power of compassion instead. The invasion fleet appeared at the edge of human space like a storm cloud blocking out the stars. 10,000 ships, each one larger than anything Earth had ever built. Admiral Jenny Hayes stood on the bridge of the battleship Defiance, watching the enemy formation through the main screen. "My God," whispered Captain Roy Bennett standing beside her. "Look at the size of them." The Korthak dreadnought stretched for kilometers, bristling with weapons that could level mountains. Behind them came the support vessels of 40 other species, all united under the Galactic Council's banner. The combined fleet represented the largest military force ever assembled in this part of the galaxy. "Admiral Hayes," came a transmission from the lead ship. "This is Fleet Commander Drax of the Korthak Empire. You will surrender immediately and turn over all Zephyrian criminals, or we will take them by force." Jenny looked around her bridge. Crew. Humans and Zephyrians worked side by side at every station. Commander Lyra stood at the tactical display, her blue fingers dancing over controls that would coordinate their defense. These people had become family over the past year of working together. "Fleet Commander Drax," Jenny replied calmly. "This is Admiral Hayes of the Terran Defense Force. The beings you call criminals are our allies and friends. They are under our protection. If you want them, you will have to go through us first." Drax's laughter echoed through the communication channel. "Your entire fleet has perhaps 200 ships. We have 10,000. This is not a battle, Admiral. This is an execution." "Then you better make it quick," Jenny replied, cutting the channel. The battle began at the orbit of Pluto. The human strategy was not to meet the invasion fleet head-on, but to strike fast and hard at key targets. Captain Bennett led the first attack, diving his fighter squadron through the enemy formation like sharks through a school of fish. The Korthak weapons fired at empty space. The human ships moved in ways the galactic military had never seen, twisting and turning through 3 dimensions with impossible grace. Where galactic tactics relied on massive firepower and heavy armor, humans used speed and cunning. "They fight like madmen," reported a Korthak captain to his fleet commander. "No formation, no discipline. They appear from nowhere, strike, and vanish." "Primitive tactics," Drax replied. "Maintain formation. Their weapons cannot penetrate our shields." He was wrong. The quantum weapons developed by Dr. Elena Rivers and Zenka could slice through energy shields like knives through paper. Human fighters disabled enemy ships with surgical precision, targeting weapons and engines while leaving life support intact. Colonel Amy Foster coordinated the defense of Mars from the planet's surface. The red planet had been turned into a fortress over the past year, covered with quantum barriers and defensive installations. When the Council ships tried to land invasion forces, they met resistance they had never imagined. Human soldiers fought with a ferocity that shocked their enemies. They used the Martian terrain like a weapon, appearing from hidden tunnels and disappearing into dust storms. They coordinated attacks with timing that seemed impossible, striking multiple targets simultaneously across thousands of kilometers. The human ground forces are unusual, reported General Korth to the invasion command. They do not fight like civilized soldiers. They fight like wild animals protecting their den. The space battle moved toward Earth as the human fleet conducted a fighting retreat. Every AU of space cost the invaders dozens of ships. The humans and Zephyrians had turned the entire solar system into a trap, with hidden weapons platforms and defensive fields that activated when enemy ships came too close. The Zephyrians, fighting, alongside their human allies, found courage they thought they had lost forever. Dr. Aaron led a team of Zephyrian engineers who managed to disable an entire Korthak battle group by hacking their computer systems. Navigator Kale flew alongside human pilots, his ship dancing through enemy fire with grace that amazed his human wingmates. I had forgotten what it felt like to fight for something worth protecting, Kale told Bennett during a brief break between attacks. Your people have reminded us who we used to be. The turning point came during the battle for Earth's moon. The Council forces expected the humans to defend Luna with everything they had. Instead, the human fleet fell back, allowing the enemy to land on the lunar surface and begin establishing bases. That was when Admiral Hayes sprung her trap. The moon itself had been prepared for this moment. Quantum charges placed deep in the lunar crust detonated simultaneously, creating artificial earthquakes that collapsed every enemy installation. The Council forces found themselves stranded on a hostile rock with no way to escape. Impossible, Fleet Commander Drax muttered as he watched his ground forces disappear from his sensors. They turned their own moon into a weapon. Actually, came Jenny's voice over the communication channel, we turned it into a prison. Your people are safe in the emergency shelters we built for them. They will have air and food until this war is over. But they will not be conquering anything from there. The siege of Earth lasted 3 months. The Council fleet surrounded the planet, bombarding it constantly with weapons that should have cracked the world's surface. Instead, they found their attacks absorbed by quantum barriers that grew stronger under fire. The planet's defenses fed on the enemy's own energy. Dr. Kevin Park worked around the clock with Zephyrian scientists to maintain the defensive grid. The barrier system was the most complex piece of technology ever built, requiring constant adjustment and maintenance. But it held protecting billions of people from weapons that could destroy worlds. The war began to spread beyond Earth's solar system. The free colonies of the Outer Rim, inspired by human resistance, declared war on the Galactic Council. The Democratic Republic of New Altair began attacking Council ships in their territory. Across the galaxy, independent worlds rose up against Council authority. The humans have started a rebellion, Ambassador Krex reported to the Emergency Council session. Half the galaxy is in revolt. Our forces are spread too thin to maintain control. Then we destroy Earth completely, suggested Counselor Vorth. Use the planet killers. Turn their world into an example that will terrify the rebels back into submission. The debate that followed split the Council. Some members supported using ultimate weapons against Earth. Others argued that destroying an entire world would make them no better than the criminals they claimed to oppose. The vote was deadlocked for days. During those days, the human fleet began its counterattack. Admiral Hayes led a strike force that hit Council supply lines throughout the local sector. Captain Bennett's fighters appeared at enemy bases like ghosts, striking and vanishing before defenders could respond. Colonel Foster's ground forces liberated 3 worlds that had been under Council occupation for decades. The most shocking moment came when a human diplomatic ship arrived at the Council homeworld under a flag of truce. President David Taylor himself stepped onto the Council station, walking calmly through corridors lined with the representatives of civilizations that had sworn to destroy his people. I have come to offer terms for peace, Taylor announced to the assembled Council. You are in no position to offer anything, Krex replied angrily. Your world is surrounded. Your people are outnumbered 1,000 to 1. Are we? Taylor asked, quietly. Look around you, Ambassador. Half your member worlds are in revolt. Your fleets are scattered across the galaxy fighting rebellions. Your economy is collapsing under the cost of this war. And Earth still stands, stronger than ever. He was right. The Council's attempt to crush humanity had instead revealed the weakness of their own system. When they tried to use overwhelming force to solve their problems, they discovered that force alone was not enough. The example of human compassion and Zephyrian gratitude had inspired civilizations across the galaxy to question the Council's authority. What do you propose? Asked Councillor Mesh, speaking for the moderate faction. An end to the exile of the Zephyrians, Taylor replied. Recognition of Earth's sovereignty, and a new approach to galactic governance based on cooperation, instead of domination. Never, Krex declared. The Council will not negotiate with rebels and criminals. But other voices in the chamber disagreed. The war had cost too much and gained too little. The galaxy was bleeding, and many Council members were ready to stop the bleeding. The final battle came not in space, but in the Council chambers themselves, where civilizations that had never questioned authority began to demand answers about why they were fighting people who only wanted to help refugees. The vote that ended the war was not won with weapons, but with words and the simple human belief that doing the right thing was worth any cost. 5 years had passed since the first Zephyrian ship appeared at the edge of human space. Now, Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Alliance flagship Freedom, leading the largest fleet in galactic history toward the Council's home system. But this was not an invasion fleet. It was a liberation force. Behind him, ships from 100 different worlds flew together under the banner of the Democratic Alliance. Humans and Zephyrians served side by side with vegans, Altarians, Centaurians, and dozens of other species that had joined their cause. The galaxy that had once rejected the Zephyrian refugees now rallied behind the principles of compassion and justice. Admiral, reported Captain Lisa Barnes from the communications station, we are receiving surrender requests from 12 more Council worlds. They want to join the Alliance. Jake nodded. The war had changed everything. What began as punishment for harboring refugees had become a galaxy-wide revolution against tyranny. The Galactic Council, once the supreme authority in civilized space, controlled fewer than 50 worlds now. Most of their former territory had either joined the Alliance or declared independence. Commander Lyra, now an Alliance admiral herself, worked at the tactical display. Her people had found their courage again, fighting alongside humans to defend not just themselves, but all those who suffered under Council rule. The Zephyrians had become some of the Alliance's best diplomats, using their own story of exile and redemption to convince other species to join the cause. Enemy fleet detected ahead, announced Lieutenant Tom Parker. 30 Korthak dreadnoughts plus support vessels. They are taking defensive positions around the Council station. Jake looked at the tactical display. The Council's home base was a massive space station that had served as the center of galactic government for over 1,000 years. Now it was the last stronghold of a dying regime, defended by the remnants of the once mighty Korthak Empire. Open a channel to Fleet Commander Drax, Jake ordered. The Korthak commander's scaled face appeared on the main screen. He looked older than during their first meeting, worn down by years of losing battles against an enemy he still did not fully understand. Admiral Morrison, Drax said, his voice tired. I suppose you have come to gloat over your victory. No, Commander, Jake replied. I have come to offer you the same thing we offered the Zephyrians 5 years ago. A chance to start over. A chance to be part of something better. Drax's laugh was bitter. You would trust the people who tried to destroy your world? We trusted the people who accidentally destroyed 3-star systems, Jake answered. Everyone deserves a second chance, even you. The Korthak commander was silent for a long moment. Around him, Jake could see other Korthak officers listening to the conversation. Their faces showed the same exhaustion their commander felt. The Korthak Empire does not surrender, Drax finally said. We fight to the end. Then you fight alone, replied Admiral Chen of the Vegan fleet, joining the communication from her flagship. Most of your allies have already switched sides. Your homeworlds are declaring independence. Your own people are tired of this war. It was true. The Korthak Empire, built on conquest and domination, was collapsing from within. Korthak colonies that had been forced to serve the Empire for centuries were declaring their freedom. Even on the Korthak homeworld, there were reports of civilians protesting against the endless war. President David Taylor's voice came over the communication system from Earth. He had been re-elected twice since the war began, leading humanity through its transformation from a single-planet species to the founders of a galactic alliance. Fleet Commander Drax, Taylor said, 5 years ago, your people voted to exile the Zephyrians. Today, I am asking you to vote again. Vote for peace. Vote for cooperation. Vote for a galaxy where species help each other instead of hurting each other. The Council Station's defenses powered down suddenly. On the main screen, Drax turned to look at someone off camera. Angry voices could be heard in the background speaking in the Korthak language. It seems my officers have made the decision for me, Drax said when he turned back to the screen. The Korthak fleet will not fire on the Alliance. We are tired of fighting people who only want to help others. The final approach to the Council Station was unlike any military operation in galactic history. Instead of boarding parties and assault troops, the Alliance sent diplomats and aid workers. Dr. Elena Rivers, now head of Alliance Medical Services, led teams to treat wounded Council personnel. Captain Roy Bennett, commanding the Alliance Escort Squadron, provided safe passage for Council civilians who wanted to leave. The Council chamber itself had changed dramatically. Where once 47 species had voted to exile the Zephyrians, now only 12 frightened representatives remained. Ambassador Kreck sat alone at the Korthak delegation table, his empire reduced to a few dozen worlds. Jake Morrison walked into the chamber, flanked by Admiral Lyra and President Taylor. They wore no weapons and brought no guards. Behind them came representatives of the 100 worlds that made up the Democratic Alliance, but they came as equals, not conquerors. The Galactic Council is finished, Krex declared when he saw them. Are you satisfied with your revenge? This is not revenge, Taylor replied, taking a seat at the central podium. This is reform. The galaxy needs government, but it needs government that serves the people, not the other way around. Dr. Kevin Park, now the Alliance's chief scientist, presented the new galactic charter to the remaining council members. It was based on principles that had grown from humanity's simple decision to help refugees. Cooperation instead of domination, aid instead of punishment, inclusion instead of exile. The Democratic Alliance of Worlds will be open to any species that wants to join, Park explained. Members will have equal votes regardless of their size or power. No species can be exiled without trial by their peers. And any being seeking refuge will find sanctuary in Alliance space. The transformation took months to complete. The old council structure was dismantled, its authoritarian laws replaced with democratic principles. The Alliance capital was established, not on Earth or any single world, but on a new space station built cooperatively by all member species. Commander Lyra, now Director of Refugee Services for the Alliance, worked with former council officials to locate and aid all the species that had been exiled or oppressed over the centuries. The Zephyrians were not the only people who had suffered under the old system. Dozens of other species had been cast out, enslaved or destroyed for challenging council authority. The Korthak Empire surprised everyone by becoming one of the Alliance's most enthusiastic supporters. Former Fleet Commander Drax, now serving as an Alliance security advisor, proved that warrior cultures could adapt to peaceful cooperation when given the chance. My people spent centuries conquering others because we thought that was strength, Drax explained to Jake during one of their strategy meetings. You taught us that real strength is helping others conquer their problems. The final ceremony took place on the anniversary of the Zephyrians' arrival in human space. Representatives from over 200 worlds gathered to sign the Alliance Charter. The document was written in every known language, but its message was simple and universal. Jake Morrison, now serving as the first elected president of the Democratic Alliance, spoke to the assembled delegates. Behind him stood Admiral Lyra and the other Zephyrian leaders who had found new hope among the humans. 5 years ago, Jake said, a small fleet of refugees appeared at our doorstep. They had been cast out by the galaxy, condemned for an accident they never meant to cause. We could have turned them away like everyone else did. Instead, we welcomed them home. He paused, looking out at the delegates from hundreds of worlds. Today, we welcome everyone home. In the Alliance, there are no exiles. There are no unwanted people. There are only neighbors helping neighbors, species working together, and civilizations, building something better than what came before. The universe had turned its back on the Zephyrians, but humans had welcomed them. In return, the Zephyrians had helped humanity transform not just their own world, but the entire galaxy. Together, they had proven that compassion was not weakness, but the greatest strength of all. As the delegates signed the charter, children from dozens of different species played together in the station's gardens. Human children with dark skin and bright eyes played alongside blue-skinned Zephyrians, scaled Korthak youngsters, and beings from worlds across the galaxy. They spoke different languages and came from different stars, but they laughed the same laughter and shared the same dreams. The galaxy was home to all of them now.